the virtues, and the top one being love for all God.
Mm-hmm.
Love for God. And when you said that, like, I felt like I needed to know what love was, because I know what human love is, and it's like, how can that be enough? Like, how can we express to something that is everything? It just feels so imperfect, how human love, like how the way that we love.
So what essentially I hear there is personal love versus universal love. No? Personal love versus universal love. When we spoke about the virtues earlier, and love for the divine, love for God, love for our higher self as that top of the list, it does not mean that love is diminished whenever it is expressed in any of the strata of creation. Because love is love. It's just when love is expressed through individual channels, it's as if it is being expressed through just that, through individualized pathways of that expression. It's still love, but it somehow flows through a narrower streams. It does not have the magnanimity of the ocean. It flows through streams, subsidiaries, rivers,
Money.
deltas. Sometimes, but whatever comes to mind, whatever you associate with, but what I'm trying to give as an example here is that individual love is an expression of the universal love. Individual love is not inferior in any way. It's just that. It's a narrower form of expression of universal love. And the beauty of this is that there comes a revelation at some point. Once we have the chance to experience universal love, we realize that individual love is nothing but the same love expressed towards something in particular, someone in particular. But of course, before that happens, love, as it were, colored by that individuality. It's colored by this very, very capricious, selfish, often container which makes it feel not what it is. People often say love brings pain, love brings suffering, love brings all this gamut of emotions we feel uncomfortable with. This is not true at all. It's a biased understanding which needs to be addressed very carefully and understood by everyone. Love never brings discomfort. Love is always liberating. Love is always kind. Love is always beautiful. Love is always freeing. But soon, as the wave of love hits the container which is still filled with all these unprocessed emotions, unprocessed, essentially, understanding of what we are in relation to the whole, it then begins to get colored by what rises to the surface, which is being shaken by that wave. The first feeling of love, the first feel of love that love brings is always freeing, liberating. It is that aftertaste that comes, but it's not from love. It has nothing to do with love. It's to do with psychological responses that wave, liberating wave, brings. It shakes the ground of our individuality. Love by nature shakes the ground of our individuality. All love. Even when we fall in love for another being, it still shakes the grounds of our individuality. It has to. All this altruism, all this selflessness that is being essentially experienced by one in love is a result of that. But what happens is that all this, what otherwise has been sitting there, all that was deposited down, is now being brought to the surface. And all this, what we call insecurities, fears, jealousies, come to the surface. At first it's just like this breeze of the spring, fragrant air. The thoughts just fizzle out of the head. It's just sense of intoxicating sense of being connected. That's what it means being in love. It's the feeling of love, flavor of love, taste of love. And soon as that arrives, there is this, what rises, what love brings, is the insecurity, is the sense of imperfection. We begin to compare, we begin to anticipate, it's like, first is this spontaneity, but then that spontaneity very quickly gets covered by all this analytical, logical dialogue born of the dichotomized nature of thought and rooted in our sense of inadequacy. We immediately feel inadequate. We immediately feel, are we up to it? Am I good enough? Or is the object of my love is good enough? Could be that. We either suffer from the pangs of insecurity or we begin to judge the object of our love. The beauty of love, though, if the love is strong enough, it doesn't care. It makes us full. It completely turns us into a fool. We do things when we're in love we don't usually normally do. And it's a signature of love. So this to be understood, that all this is the same love, it's the same, if you will, liquid gold of cosmic waters of awareness. It's not made of different stuff. It's just experienced and flows through the narrow channel, through restricted channel. Universal love is not restricted. Universal love, you love absolutely everyone and everything, irrespective of the qualities they represent or present. Restricted love is colored by the riverbed, by the terrain, landscape. It flows and gets colored. Gets colored by that, what is unique to that environment. We love our child because it's our child, our flesh and blood, and of course, it's nothing unusual about it. And that is a restricted flow of love, because it's mine. I love it because it's out of my womb. It's of my seed. It's of my blood. It's of my gene. A universal love cares little how much blood it has and what the child is and where it comes from. how smart or how daft that child is. It just loves and that knows nothing else. Restricted love can also exhibit qualities of universal love. And we all experience that from time to time. And it's the most liberating experience ever. So, where is the reconciliation? Just know it as love. Suffice to know it's all love. One day, sooner or later, we will realize is to love someone, even someone, is to love God. To love something, it's also to love God.
That was going to be my next question to add on to that. So it's like, are we misdirecting our love? Are we an object, or is that the same as loving God, loving life? God is equal to life, right?
It's all to do how our container gets purified. You see? In the same way, we could say that it's just as claiming something. Love cannot be claimed, it's unclaimable. We are agents of love, free agents of love. We are graced, blessed to love. We cannot personalize our love. This is detrimental to love. My love for you, I love you and you don't love me. My love, all my love. If only we give that freedom back, give that there's no sense of authorship. So this is something to ponder. So yes, you can love someone with that love, with that universal love, but it can only happen if nothing stands on its way there. Nothing stands on its way here in this psyche, in this human container. That human container had to be repeatedly purified and looked after. So we don't take for granted, never take love for granted. Love is always anew. We can never say, it's a crime to say this is old love, I loved someone. Never say love in a past tense. Love is eternal present. Everyone you have ever loved is being loved by same love. It does not know past or future. And it's also liberating because it takes out that individualized perspective again. The ego pockets every experience, oh, I loved him until he changed, or I loved her until she fell in love with someone else. No, it was not love. Love is love. And it's good to remember that. Good to know that. It's like giving back to what doesn't belong. And then it's feeling good. Then it's perfectly possible to experience universal love when we love anything in particular. Anything. You can love flower just as you love God. You can love a river just as you love God. You can love another human being just as you love God. But the container has to be pure in order for that to be true. Otherwise it will be just attitude making. mood making. Trying to place impossible expectations on oneself. So we have to accept also where we are. We have to be able to accept where we are. Our capacity to love is always rests in the level of consciousness we embody. It cannot be otherwise. We literally love with the capacity of our heart. We never love in any other way. So, universal love, of course, breaks the heart. Because it cannot be contained. It cannot flow through a restricted channel. So it breaks the heart. That's what it means. Whether you like it, take it allegorically, metaphorically.
So any reason we put before that, it's just, it doesn't matter. It's just something, just one, it's just color of this tree or not, yeah?
Give yourself to love regardless. Just that. Just give yourself to love. Never resist love. Always welcome love. In any way, in any form.